Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Second video on the same day. Look at this, special, like Christmas almost, but we don't celebrate Christmas, that's a different story. Today I have a guest that I never had before. For the very first time, I have someone who I would say I am stretching out our, not interest, but our approach to things. Because I used to do it in the beginning of this channel and I have stopped doing that. And that is looking at the current events or at the certain organizations or countries or politicians from a different angle. And this is through the astrology. And today I have a very special guest, Meg Moonbeam, I'm sorry, who is really gifted astrologer, but she is also a mystic. This is from her website and YouTube channel, singer, she's musician, and she is freedom lover. So good that you put it out there, Meg. I think we are all freedom lovers. I hope we can find this freedom eventually. But today I would like to have this conversation with Meg and see what she is able to see through the astrology with three different topics. Before I tell you what those topics are, which probably you see in the title of this video, I want to welcome you, Meg. Thank you for finding time. And to those of viewers who would like to follow your work after this video, where they can find you.
Anya, thank you so much for having me on your channel. Really happy to be here, so grateful and love your work. Just want to give a really big thank you to everything you do. As you said, I put kind of in my bio that I am a freedom lover, and I really mean that. And I really appreciate people like yourself that are very authentic, speaking these deep truths. Not easy work. It's not easy work to do it all, but you are doing it. And so grateful for you and so excited to be here with you today. And yeah, if anybody wants to check out my work, I'm on all social media at Meg Moonbeam, and I have my website, megmoonbeam.com as well.
Perfect. So I will attach the links as well as Meg's YouTube channel down below this video. And she does great work with her husband too, so you might be interested in it, guys. So, you know, I wanted to see the future of Chabad-Lubavitch, the future of Israel, and the future of Zionism, which is all connected. And I reached out to Meg to ask her to look into the astrology charts. Why not, right? Like, why not? Does it hurt? No, it doesn't. And we can, besides what we know, and besides all those breadcrumbs or bigger breadcrumbs that we are coming across, doing our own research, see things that probably we will normally never see. So Meg agreed to look into this, and those are really nasty topics. But before we start with Chabad-Lubavitch, that probably most of you are very familiar with on my channel, and you are aware of how important they are in the political scene, I want to show you this just as a reminder. So here is, if you just Google it, not like we use Google much, but here we go. Chabad-Lubavitch is a major global Hasidic movement with Orthodox Judaism, known for its extensive outreach and educational activities, operating over 3,500 institutions in 100 plus countries. Now, we know this, my audience knows this. I show this Chabad influence. Here is with Putin and Rabbi Lazar. Here is in Germany. I forgot the name of this rabbi. Of course, here is with Trump. And you can see it, Meg, right? All those pictures. So they are in most of the countries, and they are very influential. This guy here is their so-called Messiah before the real one will return, and they are speeding up the process now, Rebbe Schneerson, and his grave is often visited by people like, for example, Trump, Ben Shapiro, Howard Lutnick, and many others. that movement is sect, actually, it's a sect, is also connected to Jared Kushner because he's part of it. What's the other guy's name?
Howard
Special
Lutnick?
envoy Steve Yes, Howard Lutnick and Steve Witkoff. Steve Witkoff, the one who travels a lot to Kremlin to negotiate the peace between Russia and Ukraine. So, Meg, I will now mute myself completely. And please tell me when you look at the chart, because we were able actually to see when this was created in 17 something in Russia, actually, in the regions of Russia. But it went through some transitions. But I just want to hear from you when you look at the chart of this sect, because it's a sect, what do you see?
Would you like me to share the chart, Anya, or would you prefer not to have an astrology chart?
Please do.
Yeah?
Share whatever you feel like. Yes.
Okay,
Do
awesome.
I need to click on something? No. Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, I've just brought it into the backstage. You might have to add it to the stage.
Okay, let's see how I do this. Kick from studio, Ben from studio. Let's see. I don't know how to do this.
Do you see the? Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I find it's interesting. Some people prefer not to see the chart. Some people prefer to see the chart. So thank you for that. What I find interesting right away, Anya, is that Chabad-Lubavitch, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, you guys, it was formed around the time of the American Revolutionary War, right? So we don't have an exact date for the formation of Chabad, but we know that it was in the year 1775, around the time, very big time in the world with the American Revolutionary War. And I feel like this is significant, Anya, because I feel like, yes, America is, the freest country in the world, but the astrology shows in the USA's chart that actually there are secret organizations or cults that are a part of the formation of the United States. And I think Chabad might actually be something, and let me know if you've already heard about this, because I know a bit about Chabad, but not a whole amount as you do. But I feel like actually this sect may be a part of the formation of what the USA actually is today. This sect has a huge influence over the US, and I don't think that there's a coincidence that it was created around the time of the American Revolutionary War, the most powerful country in the world, the US, or so it seems. We're going to get into the Israel chart, and I'm going to talk about how actually Israel astrologically is way stronger of an influence over the world than the US astrologically. So interesting. We'll get into that in a little bit. So formed at a very interesting time. What's also very curious about the Chabad-Lubavitch, Israel, and Zionism astrology charts is they all have very strong Uranus influence. Okay. Now, the planet Uranus rules weirdness, it rules unpredictability, change, the future. Uranus is not in astrology a malefic planet. It's not necessarily a bad planet, but it does have a weird side, okay, where people or countries or organizations with strong Uranus influence, they may be into experimentation. It's the planet that rules experiments. It's the planet that rules mad scientists and weirdness and wanting to move forward into the future. So the people that created this group, which by the way, and Anya, you probably already know this, all of these crazy people, I call them like psychopaths losing their power, the elites losing their power, they all use astrology, all of them, right? And they demonized astrology in medieval Europe times during the witch trials so that we don't use astrology and we look at it as a joke, but they're all using astrology themselves. So they would have timed the exact time that they would have started Chabad-Lubavitch, that they would have created, here's the country for Israel, that they would have started Zionism. They use the astrology for all of this, right? So that Uranus influence is interesting. And also when it comes into the current astrology, Chabad-Lubavitch and Israel are both going through what we call Uranus returns. Uranus, every about 80 years, comes back into the same sign as when something was born. So when people are around 80 years old, or a country is around 80 years old, Uranus comes back into the same place as when it was born. And this is a time of major change. Uranus rules change, weirdness, unpredictability. And I feel like we're seeing that right now because Chabad-Lubavitch, it's something that's kind of being exposed very in depth right now. At the same time of having a Uranus return, Chabad-Lubavitch, has the same Pluto placement as the US pretty much. It just had a Pluto return a few years ago. Pluto is the planet of exposing secrets being revealed, the dark side of life, evil people, evil energy. So all of these things
Can I add
yeah,
something,
yeah,
Max? Sorry to interrupt you, but I think this, if are you able to say what year was it, that exposure? Like 24,
the
for
exact
example?
exposure, yeah, let me check that right now. Let me check the exact date right now. There's actually a really good site called drstanley.com where it's very easy to just see the exact degrees. So the exact Pluto return for Chabad was 2022, 2021, 2022. Those were the exact years. But because Pluto is so slow moving, it actually lasts for many years. So I would
You
say
know, I
from,
ask you.
yeah,
I ask you
why?
because I think it was in 2024 where a lot of people who watch my channel know this. In their headquarters in Brooklyn, in New York City, they have the headquarters.
Hmm.
All of a sudden, there were those Jewish men coming out from the tunnels. They had secret gatherings. Some mattresses were found with blood on it. And actually, for the first time, you were able to see some of them in handcuffs, like New York police put them in handcuffs. So people were like, what the heck is going on? Why they are in those tunnels? So they've built some tunnels underneath that headquarters in Brooklyn, New York, and they were discovered. Like they were running away from it
Hmm.
one day, and it was, I think, 2024. So that's why I wanted to ask, because that exposure, this was like unreal, actually, to be exposed like that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And before we came on today together, I was doing a little bit of research into Chabad-Lubavitch. And again, I know nowhere near as much as you do, but I did hear a little bit about that. And so 2024. So it is interesting, Anya, because we do see with Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, the outer planetary transits, the influence does last for actually a couple years either side of when it's exact, because there's such slow moving planets. So that makes sense that in 2024. And what's crazy is, and this is where the astrology is so cool, Pluto rules tunnels. Pluto rules things that are, I'm getting chills all over my whole body. Pluto is things that are underground, right? Underground spaces, basements, tunnels, occult rituals. So right after the exact Pluto return, right, just a couple years after, you have the exposing of the tunnels coming out. And I'm kind of getting the download right now, and let me know what you think, Anya, but because I know David Icke has been speaking about Chabad for a while, if I'm not mistaken. You've been speaking about Chabad, other truthers as well. I think that there is something to, in the mass consciousness, when a lot of attention is brought to something, there will be more exposure about it, right? So, around 2021, 2022, when there was the exact Pluto return of Chabad, a lot of people starting to talk about it more and more in the truther movement. And then we have that incident with the tunnels. That's crazy. Wow.
Yes.
I also, yeah, sorry, did you want to share something?
No, just continue. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Pluto returns only happen once every around 240 years. So that is really significant. And it is really interesting, everybody, even though we don't have the exact chart for Chabad, even just knowing the year, we can see what was going on with the outer planets, which move very slow, what was going on with the eclipse cycle, eclipses are one of the most important things to pay attention to in astrology. We have eclipses once every 6 months, an eclipse season. And when we have eclipses, they are major doors closing and completely new chapters opening. What's interesting is in 1775, we were in the same eclipse cycle that we are in right now in 2026 as we're filming this video. There were eclipses in Leo, Aquarius, Pisces, and Virgo. That's exactly what we have right now in 2026. And very interesting that Leo and Pisces both deal with famous people, both deal with artists, both deal with filmmaking. And Steven Spielberg's family is a part of Chabad-Lubavitch. Do you know if there's any other filmmakers, Anya, that are a part of it as well?
I don't remember. A lot of people in Hollywood actually are.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly. I think Seinfeld could be, but you know who else? I forgot. Miriam Adelson, the one who donated to Trump's campaign the most money, the one whose husband, you know, no longer alive, but he built major business in Las Vegas through the casinos. So Miriam Adelson is part of this too a lot. And of course, let's not forget Benjamin Netanyahu, blessed, anointed by the Rebbe, the one that I showed you, the old guy. Yeah, so you know, there are a lot of people are part of it. And when you look at other countries, for example, they might, like, I will bring Russia because that was the biggest disappointment for me. And we shared this before recording this video. When you see those rabbis being so close to those leaders, those politicians, and so, you know, participating in the big events, and even actually, I forgot to mention, the rabbi who is designated for Russia, who is very in close relationship with Putin, he was awarded an honor, like a very special order that Russia gives to like the best friends of Russia or something like that. I forgot the name of it exactly. So like he's really awarded there. They opened a museum that is also dedicated to the memory of Jewish people and is in this light of Chabad-Lubavitch. So like the Rebbe Schneerson, the portrait of this Rebbe is there, which means like even if you don't see them, those leaders attending certain ceremonies, for example, you see the presence of those rabbis next to them, you know, maybe not all the time, but very often. So yeah, anyway, sorry, long answer to your question, but yes, definitely his mother, Spielberg's mother, I was showing the video once, she went to that Rebbe for the blessing, you know, like they were going to for the blessing, bringing like $1 bill or something like that. I don't know what they do, but she said, I am Steven Spielberg's mother, you know, and yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a really weird clip, if any of you guys have seen that. That makes a lot of sense that actually Chabad has a huge influence over Hollywood, filmmaking, movies. And it's interesting, my husband Jens and I think it was last week or a couple of weeks ago, we saw the new Disclosure Day movie from Steven Spielberg. And I found it very weird. Like it was, the whole movie felt like it was leading up to something, but nothing actually crazy really did happen. And of course, we know there's predictive programming and all kinds of things in movies. So interesting too that Disclosure Day also has that connection to Chabad as well. So I find this astrology for this sect to be super, super interesting. It is something that's being exposed more and more. And that's kind of a theme right now also with the collective astrology we have going on. All of these dark things going on behind the scenes, these cults losing their power, they're all being completely exposed right now. And there's really no going back from it. I feel, are not in the same power positions as they used to be to manipulate society as much because there's just so much conscious attention going to it. So that's what I've got on Chabad.
But what I know it's very like a vague question here, but what is the future of this sect? Do you see
Yeah.
is there such a thing like you can see actually the future, or you can see an ending, for example, or no?
I actually think it's going through an ending right now. I think the ending has already started. I feel that many of these sects, cults, they may try to create new ones that aren't known about. It's very clear in the astrology for this that it's being exposed, brought into the light, to where it doesn't really make sense for it to move forward in the same way. It may be used kind of like as a um, still having it out in the open, but it's no longer really what is actually the powerful group going on. There may be a new one trying to be created behind the scenes of what Shabbat actually is. Does that make sense how I just explained that?
You know, it does. There is a gentleman in Poland, here where I am at this moment, who is incredibly knowledgeable in geopolitics, history, and all of this. He's not an astrologer, none of this, but he is very, very. He knows a lot. It seems like he studied all his life all those dynamics and all those organizations and sects. And I was listening to him yesterday, and he said something very interesting, that there are actually conflicts within those Jewish groups, conflicts of power, which I was not really considering before, because I thought like, who if not them, like they are united, you know, like they seem to be
Yeah,
like my brother and this and this, and you know, it's like I help you, like even how they run the businesses. I was
right.
also showing this video once, like they support one another. Everyone else will fail of a different bloodline, but they will survive, right? But he was talking about the conflict between the groups, and what you're saying now, this could be yeah, so probably they're gonna keep the name out there for some time and can continue on this trajectory. The museum will be the museum, the grave will remain the grave, the Rebbe is the Rebbe and the holy memory of him, whatever. But then they are going to create some other, like you're saying, organizations, other sects, and they're
Yeah.
gonna transition, maybe even spread. But so like so there is no end to it, really. It's just like
Well, yeah,
mushrooms.
yeah.
Like mushrooms.
Yeah, I think that we're coming to an end of these dark cults, but uh, you know, really evil dark energy, it doesn't give up a fight very easily, right? So I could see them, yeah, maybe trying to create another group behind the scenes, but these things are not going to work for, I think, a very long time moving forward. Did you hear, Anya, about what just got exposed with Peter Thiel, the what's it called? The elite retreat
The
diet.
dialogue.
Heard about that? Right? Like they planned it, it's about to happen, and somebody just leaked the whole thing, even before it's actually happened, right? So this is the stuff that we're starting to see right now. These groups do not have the same power, and also like the technology, Pluto and Aquarius right now is working against them. I've noticed in past years, ever since the I don't know what words you like us to use on your YouTube channel, but ever since, 2020 and that whole time period, everything that these groups have tried to do against us actually backfire. So they're trying to get us addicted to smartphones, technology, but actually we with the technology can expose them right away to millions of people, be a whistleblower, download the whole documents of this dialogue conference and share it with people. So I find that really interesting too.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, they are still in the positions where they can put a lot of pressure on our existence
Yeah.
and create the word I have trouble saying surveillance. You know, I remember this because someone broke it down from in the comment section and said, "Sir, they," and then I said like Jewish people say, "Hey, they," or they, right? So like surveillance. Okay, so surveillance, that's what they are doing actually right now.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and now we're gonna look. So as far as Chabad-Lubavitch, so now you're saying they are going to maybe more will be exposed, but they will be spreading into smaller or different organizations. So now, are we going to look into Israel or into Zionism?
I'd love to look at Israel next,
Okay,
because this
so,
is, yeah.
So I actually, what was the date? Let's see, I have it here. The modern state of Israel was officially founded on May 14th, 1948. I had this video ready, but I'm not gonna play it. This is the video with, what's the name of this reptile? Rothschild, Jacob
Okay.
Rothschild, who was talking proudly about how his family was the one that sponsored the whole project and this Balfour Declaration. So this is founded by the Rothschilds. So I don't know exactly when they came up with the lizard idea to do it, but officially May 14th, 1948. Okay, Max, so I mute myself and I give you the platform now.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, what I love, I'm excited to get into the Israel chart because this is an exact chart. We have the date and we have the time. So May 14th, 1948 at 4 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, this country was officially started. And this gets me so excited when we've got a country with an exact chart, because we can literally predict things down to days, down to hours, down to months, that kind of stuff. What strikes me right away is the chart of Israel is an astrology chart where we have multiple very dark, malefic placements going on. Okay. So sometimes when I talk about like darker parts of astrology, some people will comment in the comment section, oh, but Meg, I have Saturn conjunct Pluto, which is Israel has Saturn conjunct Pluto. We're going to get into that. You are not a bad person if you have any one of these things I'm about to mention, but whenever you see an astrology chart of a person, a place, or a thing that has multiple very dark influences, like the chart of Israel has, that is a very big red flag. Okay, so what strikes me right away is we see there is a Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Okay, these are the two malefic planets in astrology. These are the two villains, if you will. Pluto, we've already talked about, that came up in the Chabad's chart, literally rules the underworld, evil energy, death, rebirth, dark cults, the shadow side of life. And Saturn, the other malefic planet, isn't, and sorry, Anya, but isn't there a connection in with Saturn to Zionism or like the Jewish faith, or am I thinking of something else?
Yes, they were, that's related to Saturn. They were the, excuse me, black cube on their forehead,
right,
with this black tape around, and then around this. So this cube, I think it represents Saturn, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, Saturn deals with power. So does Pluto, governments, institution, success, public success. It's also challenge. It can also be overbearing power. It's a malefic planet like Pluto. Saturn, Pluto conjunctions, that's the most intense outer planetary aspect you can have. In 2020, I think it was January 11th or 12th, 2020, we had a Saturn, Pluto conjunction in Capricorn at a Capricorn degree. And myself and other astrologers predicted before 2020, oh my God, we're going to see crazy government overreach. We're going to have one of the biggest challenges in human history, because this is not an easy astrological aspect. So Israel has this aspect in the 10th house of power, politics, leadership, world power. The United States chart does not have this. So when I look at the United States chart compared to the Israel chart, this is a more powerful country than the United States. So many people will say, oh, the US is the most powerful country in the world. Actually, Israel has a power over the whole world. And let me be clear, the state of Israel, not the people of Israel, right? It's the politics, it's the upper hand, those kind of elite groups. So Saturn-Pluto conjunction, very malefic. Plus, the sun of Israel is 23 degrees of Taurus in the 8th house of Scorpio, Pluto house. And the sun is conjunct, literally, Anya, you can't make this stuff up, the demon star Algol. Have you ever heard about Algol before? Okay, so Algol is a fixed star that since ancient times has been associated with literally evil energy, people losing their heads physically, metaphorically, accidents, injuries. Like, it's a very bad star. Conjunct the sun of Israel, which is the most important placement. Plus, you have multiple placements in the 8th house. So there's a lot of technical things showing, okay, Israel, this is not a positive country. This is not a positive structure. Again, I'm not talking about the people of Israel, but the country and the politics itself. It has a huge power.
Can I ask you, so I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I don't want to lose this question.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, you started to talk about it. I'm under the impression that they almost set it up the day they founded the country, they chosen the date and the time of the country with the intention to be as evil as it is, right?
That is correct. That is totally correct. Yes. And what's interesting is the rising sign of Israel. So the rising sign is in a person, how we physically look, how we come off, but it's not who you truly are, right? You got to look at the whole chart to see who you truly are. Israel can come off like a Libra rising. Netanyahu is a Libra. So Israel, Libra rising, Netanyahu, Libra, can come off as like, oh, we're diplomatic and we care and we're doing the right thing and we're fair and we're just. No, you're not. Right? Actually, when you come down to it and you look at the whole chart, no, you're not. That's just a mask that Israel, the country, is wearing, that Netanyahu is wearing as well, right? So 100%, Anya, yes, this chart was chosen. And I see it with all kinds of chart, the World Economic Forum, all these things. The astrology is so blatant. It's like, wow, you guys had an astrologer choose this for you, right? Now, and sorry, there's Anya, rein me back if I'm talking too much, but there's a lot with Israel actually that I find really, really interesting. So right now, Israel is going through where Pluto is right now in the current astrology is in an opposition exactly to the moon of Israel here in the 10th house. Also the Pluto. So Pluto oppositions, that's the most intense aspect you can have in astrology. It rules exposing, being exposed. Israel is being exposed right now. I mean, that's one of the biggest hot topics in the world, if you ask me right now. Israel, and Israel's controlling everything, and Trump is controlled by Israel, and JD Vance. So many people are talking about that, right? So Pluto rules exposing. Pluto also literally rules death. Okay. So when you've got Pluto opposite the moon and the Pluto and the Saturn in the 10th house of politicians, this is astrologically saying there's probably going to be a death. Maybe it's already happened already of a major politician of this country. So
Of Israel or of Israel?
Of Israel. Yeah. And do you remember, Anya, when earlier in the year there was all those weird videos of Netanyahu and people were, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, to me, Trump is not Trump and Netanyahu is not Netanyahu. I just say that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that there is a possibility here that Netanyahu might already be dead. And people get very upset when I say, some people like really don't like it when I say this, but there's also a possibility that Trump is dead because it also shows up in his chart. Okay. Now that's a whole other story. I think there's a lot going on there, but I think we are actually going to see, Anya, a public, because the 10th house in astrology, it's the top house of the whole chart. So it rules the public, things being seen in the public. We are going to see, I think, sometime between August and December of this year, a public death or somebody losing their power. It could be Netanyahu. And again, I'm not calling for anybody to die. Let me be very clear. This is just the astrology that there will be a very prominent death of somebody political, or if it's not a literal death, Netanyahu no longer being the, is it president or prime minister?
Prime Minister.
Prime minister. Yeah. So Netanyahu's days are numbered 100%. He is not going to be the prime minister for a very long time at all. So that's very interesting. What's also very interesting having to do with Pluto, again, there's a lot of Pluto in all these charts. The Pluto of Israel is 12 degrees of Leo. Donald Trump's Pluto is 10 degrees of Leo. So Israel and Trump have a Pluto-Pluto conjunction. They also have a Mars-Mars conjunction. So they have the almost exact same Pluto and Mars placements, which are two of the malefic planets. These are not easy planets, okay? Pluto also has to do with power, to have power over someone, to blackmail someone, to expose someone, okay? So I'm not saying that Trump is being blackmailed by Israel, but that is a possibility here, astrologically. It is very much a possibility.
But he is.
But he is, right? Right. And like Anya, I agree with you. I try to remain kind of like open, as hard as that is too, because, you know, there can be many different possibilities, but I do think he's, yeah, very likely being blackmailed by Israel. I also do think there's a possibility that Israel or somebody from Israel might leak something having to do with Trump online. That, Anya, we are going to see this summer. If it's not having to do with Trump, we are definitely going to see this summer of 2026 huge leaks. Secrets being exposed online. There's many different astrological aspects for that in the collective astrology. I think we might even see WikiLeaks coming back. Something new like WikiLeaks could be something new, exposing politicians, like how they did with the whole Pizzagate thing years ago. So this is really like Israel and Donald Trump have very intense, what we call in astrology, synastry. Synastry is the astrology between two things, literally to the point where one could possibly take out the other, kind of thing. They're in a battle with each other. Mars rules battle, war, accidents, injury. They're in a battle. This is not an easy relationship. This is not an easy relationship. They are not friends at all. So there's that. What was the other thing? Talked about Netanyahu.
I want to ask you, because maybe this will help also. I didn't ask you this in email, which is actually a crucial question. I don't know if you're familiar with this Greater Israel project.
A little
That's
bit.
why they are doing what they are doing, destroying the land, killing Palestinians, now going to the southern Lebanon and just spreading the possession of the land. And I actually recorded a video today. I came across those posts that they already announced to all of us that the next war in 15 years, they said 15 years, will be with Egypt. But before, I forgot to say they wanted, or they still want to have war with Turkey, because Turkey is also important in that region. So why I'm saying all of this, that Greater Israel project is actually what is being executed, not just in my opinion. And in order to accomplish this, some people say, those who analyze the geopolitics say, well, actually, it comes from their belief system, the Chabad-Lubavitch and all the other groups like that, that the Israel actually has to be destroyed first. Like the Israel has to be destroyed in order for the greater new Israel to be like reborn again. So my question is, which I don't know if you can see this, do you see the end of the country, or like shrinking of the country and then expansion of the country, or how does the chart show those kind of things? Because I don't really know how to ask. The Israel now, is this going to be the greater new Israel, or is there the greater new Israel even going to happen, Meg? You know?
That is a really good question. There is a very big astrological possibility here with us having Pluto in an opposition to Israel's Pluto right now, Pluto in an opposition to Israel's moon exact right now, which the moon rules the land, the country. The moon rules the country, and we're seeing that. It's kind of like Israel being exposed, Israel literally bringing death and destruction, Pluto opposite the moon to other countries as well. We're seeing that too. I do think there's a very big potential here that Israel actually does die as a country. Pluto rules death, Pluto opposite Pluto. Um, and interesting too, Anya, that we're leading up to next year, the planet Saturn right now in the current astrology, which rules laws and justice, okay, law and order and karma kind of thing, is going to enter the seventh house of Israel, which when you have Saturn in the seventh house, if you've done something really bad or really negative, you might be brought to court, you might be sued. So there could even be something next year with like international courts where Israel gets brought into an international court, and like they could get into very big issues with what they've been doing. Now, in saying that, I do know that there's secret societies running things and they can have an influence over those international courts. But at the same time, in the greater collective astrology, we are entering into an age of Aquarius. We are entering into a light age where, again, these dark groups no longer are going to have the power that they did earlier. And whether it is on our physical plane or in the spiritual plane, these groups will have karmic justice, right? So I do think, and I'm a Scorpio, like I don't mean to sound airy fairy, there's going to be karmic justice for Israel, but I do see that actually that might be something that we see next year. Really interesting, to where the country changes, maybe isn't the same anymore. You said in the long term, will the Greater Israel Project work? It might for a little bit of time, it might not at all, but I definitely do not see it lasting very long into the long term at all. I think it's just too much intense trends. Also, I mentioned earlier, Uranus return of Israel and Chabad-Lubavitch, and Uranus rules change, unpredictability. Things are not staying the same. Uranus also rules separation and divorce, things separating. So this is very, for the chart of Israel, like very intense astrology going on right now.
Thank you, Meg. Interesting. You know, I actually feel that they are going to, this is more intuitive in my case.
Mm-hmm.
Although analyzing those moves, some of those moves, I feel like they will use some kind of weapon on their own people.
Wow.
To justify and of course blame it on other country to justify more actions against that country, like Iran. So I think that if there is any justice, any court or anything of that nature, which is almost hard to believe, because when you look at them, they are like octopus, like everywhere. So there is no justice whatsoever. And no one is doing anything, pretty much. People are like, the government, I'm like, how this can even be that they are destroying another historical site in South Lebanon, like the most beautiful regions, and killing people, like innocent people, literally just killing them, just dropping the bombs and just killing them. But I think after they use certain level of that, perhaps that could be the reason why they could be brought to some international court. I don't know, but yeah, we see. So now we're gonna go into the Zionism, which is really all connected. There was a guy, one second, I want to look at him for a moment. His name was Theodor Herz, who was the Austro-Hungarian journalist and political activist, and he founded modern political Zionism. You know, when I come across informations like this, I always like, I know he didn't found it. He was just like the face, or they used the guy, and let's say he found it, but it's not him, it's those behind him, like maybe not Rothschild this time, maybe someone else. Anyway, so he founded Zionism movement, and that Zionism ideology is in current politics, really. It's like everywhere when you look at this, in my opinion. Like in United States, in Israel, and you say this is another, like even in UK, you know, they just had Keir Starmer resigning, and then they already have the new option, which is totally pro-Israel, okay with genocide in Gaza. This new guy, I don't know the name, who is pro 15-minute cities and who is totally, you know, like the whole spiel, right? Like so this is like another Zionist to replace the exiting Zionist.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's look into this movement, because if they are true believers of Zionism or not, that's a different story, but they operate in this formula of Zionism.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting. So with Zionism, we don't have the exact astrological chart because we don't know the exact day, we don't know the exact time, but we do have the year. And I'm actually just noticing here, was it 1896 or 1897? I think it was 1897, right?
Let me see one moment, because one moment. This was during the first Zionist Congress, so actually it was in 1897 in Basel, Switzerland.
Okay, that's what I thought. I have the wrong chart up there, so just give me one moment and I'm just going to fix this. Zionism here. Okay, there it is. So what's really interesting is that actually in this year of when Zionism was created or really came out into the public, we had what we call an exact outer planetary aspect. And again, we kind of talked before about how the outer planets, they move very slowly because they're so far away from Earth. And it's a really big deal when we have these outer planetary aspects. So in 1897, there was an exact Saturn-Uranus conjunction in Scorpio, the most intense, dark sign in astrology. And I am a Scorpio. Okay. We love our Scorpios. Not all Scorpios are evil, but the Scorpio energy in astrology does have that ability to go into a very dark, manipulative, controlling place, right? So very interesting, Anya. A new Uranus, powerful group, Saturn, political, created to control, Scorpio, to manipulate, Scorpio. And again, these people use astrology to create their things. So they chose this time of this Saturn-Uranus conjunction in Scorpio to have the influence of that. So it does have a power behind it. It does have, interesting, again, Uranus, the planet of weirdness, unpredictability. It does have a strange power to it. Interesting too that the nodes right now are entering in 2026 into Aquarius, North Node in Aquarius, and South Node in Leo. So Zionism is actually having what we call a nodal return in astrology. And the nodes, it's a technical part of astrology, but they're calculated points where eclipses happen every 6 months. And the nodal points represent destiny, fate, change. So when we have a nodal return once every 18 years, there tends to be very big life changes that can come up for a person or a country or an organization. And this is the first time that Zionism is having a nodal return with Pluto in Aquarius as well. Pluto will be conjunct the North Node. So isn't it interesting, Anya? Chabad, Israel, Zionism, they all have Pluto exposing them right now, right? They can't hide.
It's interesting that when I asked you to look into those 3 topics, right?
Yeah. Yeah, super, super interesting. Now, I have to be honest, when I look at the chart for Zionism compared to Chabad, and again, being an astrologer, you can look at things technically. There's also the intuitive aspect, right? I feel like Chabad is actually more of a powerful influence than Zionism is. Would you agree with that, Anya?
Yeah, because I think it's more structured. Like there is, well, it's a sect, but it's like an organization.
Yeah.
And Zionism is more like in my opinion, and I'm not an expert, I'm just using simple words to describe
Right.
how I see it. It's more like the ideology is, it's more like fluid. And I think, well, it's not really fluid, but you know what I mean? Like there are certain criteria, like how the Zionists behave, but Chabad-Lubavitch, and there is another aspect to Chabad-Lubavitch, is the religious aspect. So I think the underneath is also the satanic aspect, really. They are fueled by, you know what, that kind of energy. So
Yeah.
the so-called religious, spiritual in their way, which is the dark side aspect. So I think that could be it.
Yes. Yeah. It feels like, yeah, exactly what you just said. That's more of the rituals going on, more of where maybe the power lies overall. Whereas Zionism, it kind of feels like to me something out in the front to just be seen. Um, Almost like a little bit of a distraction, but even though it does have power, it's not the same as the Chabad sect, for sure. Now, the future of Zionism, it's similar to the other charts that we've looked at as well, with the very strong Uranus, Pluto influence. It is something that is not going to stay the same at all moving forward. It is something that, I mean, you hear people talk about all the time now. This person's a Zionist. This person's controlled by Israel. I mean, this has become like one of the major talking points. This used to be a part of the conspiracy, is now mainstream kind of thing, right? So I do think that similar to the other charts, this is not going to stay as a very powerful group any longer. And if I can also add, Anya, just in like the current collective astrology, we have so many astrological indicators showing that we are going to see huge worldwide revolution and protest, and people wanting freedom, and people no longer wanting to be under the power or dominion of these kind of groups. So that's also another thing going on in the collective astrology that I think will very strongly start in August, actually, with a few different things that we have going on. People really rising up against Zionism, against if there's any political figures that are a Zionist, you know, people not wanting to vote. I mean, we're already seeing this kind of thing. So it's something that really is losing its power very much.
Yeah, but it's not like I'm a skeptic. I think I am more just using my critical thinking.
Yeah.
Even if they protest, right? I think protests, it's one thing, but the best way to protest is just not feed their systems.
Mm.
And I know this sounds very like rebellious and very crazy, but if not the people, if not the people, the entire system would very quickly collapse. If you don't buy from certain, you vote with your wallet, like you don't buy from certain brands, you don't pay taxes. I'm just saying like it is, like literally.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know it sounds very extreme, but even if they would do it for some time, like boycott, because we are still in the position when we don't have this global by the way, the whole quantum computer technology, quantum financial system, Howard Lutnick was just saying at the White House, at the Oval Office, like how they are working on it. I'm like, you working on it? Great. That means like, so as soon as they have this accounting digital accounting system, then that's it. I mean, not that's it really. Like there's, we always have ways. But what I'm saying is still easier now to oppose things than in the next few years, in my opinion, because they're gonna tighten this and create this system and implement this. And it's in stages, Meg. I know it's in stages, but at the same time, now is not existing yet. Like it's existing, but it's not implemented yet.
Mhm.
So I think, I don't know, with the protests and everything, I think the best way is to literally starve. That's the word I was looking for. Starve the system.
Yeah. And just to be clear, I totally agree with you. And part of when I say revolution, I do mean that. So not just the protesting out in the street, but actually the revolution of going exactly what you just said. I'm not even feeding into this at all, kind of thing. I think we're going to see a lot of that. And there can be a lot of people like actually doing the protests possibly if things are not changing and people are not feeding into it, kind of thing. We're going to see people moving forward, starting this summer very strong, get really rebellious in different ways, literally not pay their taxes anymore, right? Literally, like, not go to concerts of these celebrities that are doing these spells on us. We're going to see, and we're already seeing it. Like, there are some artists that go out there that they can't finish their stadium tours because people aren't buying the tickets, right? There's people that aren't going to certain movies. So I totally agree with you with what you're saying. Definitely.
Okay, so let me, is there more in this chart, or you want me to
Those
remove this
were
chart?
those were kind of my
You
main
good?
things with that chart. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, well, that was interesting, I have to say. Now I understand why my intuition told me to ask you to look into those three topics, because there's a lot of similarities and connections. And you just showed me something that a lot of people are aware of, that they use astrology. And when they create certain organizations or even countries, they look into it. Like, look how they actually literally chosen certain time to found the state of Israel, huh?
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you can't make it up. It takes over 20,000 years to repeat an astrological chart, almost 30,000 years. So what are the chances that those charts that literally show, yeah, a country that has power and is doing really dark things, they choose these charts 100%. And I also believe part of that Aquarian revolution too, Aquarius, the sign of Aquarius rules astrology, is those of us that feel called to get back into astrology again, get back into growing our own food, doing these things they don't want us to do. Like you said, Anya, to starve out that energy, right? So, yeah, I'm so happy that I could come on today and share this with you guys.
Thank you. I really appreciate you, Meg, that you did this and you explained to me and to the viewers in such a way that, because I told you this when I contacted you, that a lot of astrologers have this tendency to, which they have to explain, like this planet or this conjunction on, use those, I'm not professional, but those kind of descriptions
Mhm.
that sometimes is very, like, maybe discouraging to the listener or the viewer, because people really don't know the astrology and they just want, like, give me the details, what does it mean exactly. And I like how you explain those things, that it's just easier to understand and put into, like, a real perspective, real situation, like what does it really mean. And I appreciate this very much. So thank you so much for joining me today. I will attach all the links to Meg down below this video, and make sure to check out her work. I just actually watched quickly, not full live, but you had a great life with your husband. Your husband is very much into those topics, very much. Like, I can tell he put a lot of years probably into studying all those shenanigans and all those creatures. that surround us. So you
Yeah.
have a great teamwork, both of you. So you can find those lives with Meg and her husband also there. And if you want to contact Meg directly, I put her website as well. And actually, Meg, I want to say she's doing something else that is, I think, something very important and of interest to many people. You also do the charts of the location. So, for example, if someone wants to move, or what is the best country or location for the next stages of life of that person to move. What's the name of it?
Well, there's some different methods. Astrocartography, I do astrocartography. On my website, I do locational astrology readings. So there's many different ways of looking at locational astrology, and that's so cool that you brought that up, Anya, because that's one of my favorite things to look at, because it is very real. It's very interesting, different parts of the world, how some places are neutral, so they don't have a very big kind of energy. But some places you have really positive lines, some places you have adverse lines. And very interesting, if I can just share very quickly, there's been 3 times, and I've done over, I think, like 4,000 personal astrology readings at this point. There's been 3 times where I was doing readings for 3 different ladies, and their lives were like a complete mess. Everything was going wrong in their lives. And I'm looking at the birth chart, I'm looking at their current transits, and it wasn't adding up. I'm like, what? Why is it so difficult for them? I look at the astrocartography. All 3 of those separate clients were exactly living on a Pluto line. So we talked about Pluto today, the most intense planet in astrology that rules death, crisis, extremes, the dark side of life. So the astrocartography actually has a huge influence on top of your birth chart, on top of your current transits, where you live, right? And in times like right now, with us being in a Pluto and Aquarius transit, every time we have Pluto and Aquarius, about every just over 240 years, a lot of people move to completely different places. And we're seeing that right now. There's so much migration, legal and illegal migration, but a lot of people move. I just made a very big move from Belgium, where my husband is from, to Alberta. We did the astrocartography for that. So everything's good with that. So yeah, I love looking at the locational astrology.
Thank you. And this is actually subject that really, really fascinates me too, because I can read energy, and when I travel, I, it changes, like certain places you return to and the energy changes there too.
Mm-hmm.
But there are completely different energies in different countries and different cities, and there's a lot to it, of course. But yeah, that's fascinating. Oh, Amo, thank you
Yeah.
so much. Time to end because I'm
Yeah.
making strange moves with my microphone. Thank you so much, Meg, again, for
Thank you
joining
so
me.
much.
Very appreciating your knowledge. And I hope, guys, that you enjoyed this video. Be open-minded, please. And, look, if they created freaking Israel exactly how they wanted to create it, to be as evil as it is and as dark as it is, so they did. So why not to look into those charts and just figure it out like Meg did, which is kind of crazy, but nothing should surprise us anymore after things we are seeing on the daily basis, right? So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you appreciate, hit the thumbs up. Check out Meg's work, and I see you in the next video. And I should say, as I always do, lots of love. And remember, we are the leading edge and we are saving humanity. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.